You want to know the secret move that makes a man call or text you first. And the first thing you have to understand is this. If you are always available, there is no reason for him to reach. When you answer every message in seconds, when you always start the conversation, when you're the one checking in, sending the good mornings, sending the good nights, asking how his day went, you may think you're building connection, but what you're really doing is removing the space where his interest can grow. A man cannot miss what is always right in front of him. See, people value what feels meaningful, and something starts feeling meaningful when there's a little mystery attached to it. When he knows exactly when you're going to text, exactly what you're going to say, and exactly how you'll respond, there's no curiosity left. And curiosity is powerful. Curiosity makes a man think. Curiosity makes him wonder. Curiosity makes him pick up his phone and type your name first. The moment you stop being constantly available, something shifts in his mind. He starts noticing the silence. He notices that the phone isn't lighting up with your name the way it used to. At first, he might think you're just busy, but then a little question creeps into his mind. Why hasn't she reached out? And once that question shows up, now he's thinking about you. And when a man starts thinking about you, that thinking often turns into action. You don't have to play games. You don't have to pretend to be someone you're not. All you have to do is stop overextending yourself. Stop making him the center of your attention every single day. Let him feel what it's like when you aren't always right there. Because when the energy shifts, he feels it. Men are very sensitive to changes and patterns. If you were always the one reaching out and suddenly you're not, he notices that difference immediately. And here's something important to understand. Pulling back doesn't mean disappearing. It doesn't mean being cold or rude. It simply means you allow space where he can step forward. Because if you keep stepping forward every time, he never has to move. When you become less available, you become more valuable in his eyes. Not because you changed who you are, but because now he has the opportunity to come towards you instead of standing still while you do all the work. Sometimes the move that makes him text first isn't saying more. It's finally learning when to say less. Because when you stop being everywhere, that's when he starts looking for you. Now, once you stop being the one who always reaches out, something else begins to happen that most people don't talk about. You give him the chance to invest. And investment is what creates attachment. A man doesn't feel deeply connected to something he didn't have to put effort into. When everything is handed to him, the attention, the conversation, the emotional energy, he may enjoy it, but he doesn't feel rooted in it. Effort is what builds emotional weight. When you're the one sending every message first, checking on him, making sure the connection stays alive, you're carrying the entire emotional responsibility. And without realizing it, you take away his role in the process. A man needs room to show up. He needs room to think about you, to wonder about you, to decide to reach for you. When he makes that decision on his own, that's when the connection starts becoming real for him. You see, people protect what they invest in. If he puts in the time to call you, if he makes the effort to send that message first, if he goes out of his way just to hear your voice, those actions aren't small things. Those are building blocks. Every time he chooses to reach out, he's quietly telling himself that you matter. And the more he tells himself that, the stronger his feelings become. A lot of women believe that if they stop reaching out, the connection will fade. But the truth is, if the connection depends entirely on you holding it together, then it was never balanced to begin with. Real interest shows itself when effort becomes mutual. When you step back just enough, you allow him to step forward. And when he steps forward on his own, that's when you see the difference between casual attention and genuine interest. Sometimes a man won't even realize how much he wants to talk to you until he has to be the one who makes it happen. When he's the one picking up the phone, when he's the one typing your name into that message box, something shifts inside him. Now he's involved. Now he's engaged. Now he's investing. And here's the thing. The more he invests, the more valuable the connection becomes in his mind. Not because you forced it, and not because you convinced him, but because he chose it. And what a man chooses for himself always carries more weight than something handed to him. You don't make him reach out by chasing harder. You make him reach out by giving him something to reach for. Because when he invests his effort, that's when he starts investing his heart. Now here's where the real shift begins, and this might be the part people overlook the most. The secret move that makes him call or text you first isn't just about stepping back from him. It's about stepping back into your own life. When your world starts revolving around whether or not he reaches out, you lose a kind of energy that naturally draws people in. But when your focus moves back to your own goals, your own happiness, and your own growth, something powerful changes without you even trying. When a woman is sitting around waiting for a message, checking her phone every few minutes, wondering why he hasn't called yet, that energy becomes heavy. Even if he can't see it directly, he can feel it in the way conversations happen. It shows up in how quickly you respond, how eager you sound, and how much emotional weight you place on every interaction. And that kind of pressure makes a man pull back, even if he doesn't fully understand why. But when you're living your life, truly living it, your energy becomes lighter. You're not waiting to hear from him because your time is already full. You're doing things that make you feel alive. You're investing in yourself. You're growing. You're laughing. You're moving forward. And when a man senses that your life is active and meaningful, he becomes naturally curious about where he fits into it. There's something deeply attractive about a woman who isn't sitting around hoping for attention. A woman who has her own direction, carries a quiet confidence that doesn't need to announce itself. She doesn't have to chase because she's already moving forward. And when a man sees that, he doesn't want to be left behind. He starts reaching out not because you demanded it, but because he wants to stay connected to the energy you bring. You see, when your happiness doesn't depend on his messages, your presence becomes more valuable. Now, when you do respond, it feels genuine instead of desperate. Now, when you talk, there's substance behind your words because you're actually experiencing life instead of waiting on it. And here's the truth most people don't realize. The more fulfilled you become on your own, the more naturally he feels pulled towards you. Not because you're trying to attract him, but because confidence has its own gravity. It draws people in without effort. The moment you stop waiting and start living, the dynamic shifts. He begins to feel that you're not standing still for him anymore. And that's often the very thing that makes him move closer. Because when you make your life the priority, that's when he starts trying to become part of it. There's another part of this secret move that people underestimate, and that is the quiet power of silence. Not angry silence, not silence meant to punish, but the kind of silence that speaks without saying a word. When you stop filling every space with messages and constant contact, something begins to happen in his mind. Silence creates questions, and questions create attention. When a man has room to think, that's when he starts realizing what you mean to him. If every day looks the same, if every conversation starts because you made it happen, then there's nothing for him to notice. But the moment the pattern changes, the moment your voice isn't always there on his phone, he becomes aware of the difference. Human beings are wired to notice change. When something familiar shifts, the mind naturally tries to understand why. That's when he starts thinking about you in a deeper way than before. Sometimes a message every hour keeps a connection alive on the surface, but it doesn't always give a man the chance to feel the absence. And absence has a way of bringing clarity. When you're always there, he may enjoy you, but he doesn't always recognize your value fully. When there's a little distance, he begins to understand what your presence actually adds to his life. Silence also shows emotional strength. It shows that you're not controlled by impulse. You're not reacting to every moment of uncertainty by reaching for reassurance. Instead, you're calm, steady, and secure. That kind of quiet confidence speaks louder than constant words ever could. A man respects what feels grounded, and silence often signals that kind of stability. And the truth is, when you're not constantly explaining yourself or chasing conversation, he starts filling in the blanks with his own thoughts. He starts remembering your laugh. He starts replaying conversations. He starts wondering what you're doing and who you're with. The silence becomes a space where his feelings have room to grow. You don't have to remind someone of your value every single day. Real value doesn't need constant advertising. Sometimes the strongest message you can send is simply giving things room to breathe. Because when you stop talking all the time, he finally gets the chance to listen to his own feelings. And sometimes the message that makes him reach for you first is the one you never send. Now, when you step back and give space, something deeper begins to wake up inside a man, and that is his natural desire to pursue. A lot of people misunderstand this part. They think pursuit is about games or manipulation, but real pursuit isn't forced. It's something that happens naturally when there's room for it. If you're always moving toward him, always closing the distance, always making sure the connection stays alive, then there's nothing left for him to chase. And when there's nothing to pursue, a man can start to lose that spark of excitement without even realizing it. You see, effort has meaning when it feels like a choice. When a man decides on his own to call you, to send that message, to check in just to hear from you, that decision carries weight. It's not something you pushed him into doing. It's something he felt pulled to do. And when that pull is real, it creates momentum. One message turns into another. One call turns into the next. Before long, he's reaching out not because he has to, but because he wants to. There's a difference between being pursued and being chased. Chasing often comes from fear. Fear of losing the connection. Fear of being forgotten. Fear of not being enough. But pursuit comes from desire. And desire grows strongest when there's a little space between two people. That space gives him the chance to move toward you with intention instead of simply responding to your effort. When you stop chasing, you change the direction of the energy. Instead of everything flowing from you to him, now there's room for it to flow back. And when he starts moving toward you, he begins to feel a stronger sense of connection because he's part of creating it. Every time he picks up the phone first, every time he sends that unexpected message, he's reinforcing the idea that you matter to him. And here's something important. Men often feel proud of what they pursue. When he makes the effort to stay connected, it gives him a sense of purpose inside the relationship. He feels like he's earning your time instead of just receiving it. That feeling deepens attraction in a way that constant availability never can. You don't have to convince a man to pursue you. The right environment does that on its own. When you respect yourself enough to stop chasing, you create a space where his natural instincts can come alive. Because when you stop running after him, that's often the moment he starts walking toward you. And after everything we've talked about, stepping back, giving space, letting him invest, focusing on your own life, allowing silence to speak, and letting his natural desire to pursue come alive. All of it comes down to one final truth. The real secret move that makes a man call or text you first is confidence. Not loud confidence, not the kind that tries to prove something, but quiet confidence. The kind that shows in the way you carry yourself and the way you respect your own time and energy. Confidence is what allows you to step back without fear, because when you're truly confident, you're not sitting there worrying if he'll forget about you. You're not counting minutes between messages. You're not trying to figure out how to keep his attention every second of the day. Confidence means you understand your value whether the phone rings or not. And when a man senses that kind of security, it changes the way he sees you. A confident woman doesn't chase because she knows she doesn't have to. She doesn't beg for attention because she believes she deserves genuine interest. She doesn't panic over silence because she knows the right person won't disappear just because she stopped reaching first. That kind of self-assurance creates a presence that stands out in a world where so many people are trying too hard to be noticed. And here's the thing. Confidence makes your actions consistent. When you pull back from contacting him first, it's not a temporary strategy. It's not something you're doing just to get a reaction. It's simply a reflection of how you value yourself. You respond when you want to respond. You reach out when it feels natural. But you never feel like you have to chase someone's attention just to keep them around. Men are drawn to certainty. When they sense that you are grounded and secure within yourself, it makes them feel safe moving closer. There's no pressure, no desperation, no emotional tug of war, just a steady presence that feels real. And real confidence is rare enough that it naturally captures attention. The truth is, the secret move isn't really about him at all. It's about you becoming the kind of woman who knows she's worth the effort. When you carry yourself that way, you don't have to convince anyone to call you. You don't have to remind anyone to text you. The right man feels the difference, and he responds to it without being asked. Because when you truly know your worth, you stop chasing attention, and that's exactly when he starts chasing you.